Welcome back everyone to the LCK, to our midway section. My name is Joe and I'm joined in by Dangun and Bitdol for this midway point. These two teams, Afreeca Freecs and KT Rolster, going against each other, and Afreeca Freecs getting the game 1 victory, and gonna have these two talk about the games, also with a lot of rising topics, so that you guys can keep up to date of what's going on around in the LCK. There's a lot of incredible teams that are fighting against each other and trying to find out who the better teams are, and we do have a lot of team fights ready for you guys to show you guys and see how Afreeca did come to a victory in game number 1. And for the first video, we're gonna decide between the Baron and the team fight. I'll get to look at it here. And this was right around the Aatrox where Snem had to make a really important decision. We saw Yukal's Swain making a very important play here, because definitely could have went the other way around. I just saw in the video. It feels like the fight was all over the place. I mean, you see multiple encounters going back and forth, and Yukal was very heroic in the way that everything was pulled off right for KT Rolster there. The initiation was important for all these teams here, and get to look at another video here. It's the midway section through that. Aatrox came from the top, as you can see. And Smeb actually saw him use just a one-man ultimate out of all things, and the reason why he used it, we're going to try to explain a little bit. Whenever we see the Aatrox not fully stacked, and that's the opportunity for Smeb to go in and try to kill out Aatrox early as you can, so that it doesn't become a pressure for the rest of the team fight. And that was the reason why they wanted to keep off Aatrox from the rest of the team fight, as they seem isolated there, so that the rest of KT could take care of the rest of the team fight. We saw that from the left side. Basically, the effort was made by the Aatrox trying to make something out of this, and it just feels like the more important play did come from Mata with the hook that did connect over through, and that was an intention of Camille, who was trying to just hook shot all the way down to that area and maybe go through where Deft and Yukal is at that position right there, but Mata with the key play to make sure that was halted before the Camille had any chance of getting in through that team fight. That was a very important one for KT on multiple sides there, and you can see that. Definitely the synergy, you can already see it between the players, knowing what their roles are in particular team fights, and with the Aatrox being cut off and also the Camille being halted down, and you saw these strategically, KT was definitely on top there. And we also look at different team fights to look at what the important points were. And this was right around the Drake. This was perhaps showing us Afreeca Freecs winning out in the picks and bans, and really the competition truly paying off here. And you saw the Aatrox coming in with the Shen ultimate, but it became really difficult because action was pretty much over everything before it all began. And Aatrox knew that you have to use a one-man ultimate once again, but once the Aatrox already is stacked up, there's very little you can do. Of course, it was important that they had to just survive for the longest of time, but eventually everyone was going to go down. KT Rolster did their best to try to mark down any individual members to make sure they survive in this team fight for a long time, but Afreeca definitely showed the strengths there with the picks. And Thresh, some people do say that it's been criticized that it doesn't really contribute too much in a team fight, but Mata did prove them wrong in multiple instances. And now we're getting viewership of what they think about these fights here, and people are saying they're 8 top lane champions, and something that's worth mentioning. It's definitely not the most unusual now, as we're kind of getting used to this meta, and of course that allows us to get a lot more melee types of team fight that's really all up in your face, and get to see the teams really reacting to this meta in a positive way. Definitely is we're trying to get a one-line segment once again for all these fights here, and Look at the mid lane being put here, but trying to explain this here. Something had to do with the Aatrox probably. That's in Chinese actually. 회강 만족 is what is supposedly called. I have no idea, guys. I mean, you tell me to translate Korean to English. I'm not gonna translate Chinese. Otherwise, I would have went to LPL. So definitely call the wrong person for the wrong job, and that was the one line to summarize it. If you guys want to search that up, feel free to do so. I'm definitely gonna translate for you guys. And I'll say end of the segment. We'll be back with the next part once we go to Game 3.
Oh, I can't blame you, Joel. I had no idea what was going on either with the Chinese characters there, but I do know what happened in game number 1. Afreeca
I've got the one-word summary for game 1. It's outdrafted.
Yeah.
It's one word. It's a League of Legends word. And this man, a well-deserving MVP, the transition from his hero shot to his camera. Well played, Kuro. They all sat in the glacial storm, and they all went into the death chamber.
Yep. Frostbite, hypothermia, etc. KT members all suffering. But, I mean, man, a Deathless Anivia performance from him. I believe Keen Deathless as well on the Aatrox. Didn't have as flashy of a performance needed as, you know, to get him that MVP win. So Kuro gets his first. But, man, the wall especially, the lock-off score there, which we're not going to see, was just depressing to watch if you're a KT fan.
Look at them sit in that glacial storm. And then Malphite's like, let's fight further in this storm. And, well, Anivia was pretty happy. She was a bit concerned about running out of mana, but thankfully, enemies ran out of health first.
This is when it looked like Yukal was going to be able to turn things around.
Then you forgot that Darius wasn't even there.
And then Kramer was there the entire time. They wanted a 4v5. And he's still just standing in the storm. Oh, beautiful stuff from Kuro.
Some of those smites early game had gone the way of KT. If they had got that first Infernal, would the game have been won by KT? I can't know, but it certainly would have been playing towards their win conditions, or their one narrow win condition a lot further. So credit to Spirit. Some very critical steals. I think KT needs to go back to the drawing board. I think a lot of this game too is to be more even in the drafting phase, because we keep, as a casting duo and as a casting team, praising Zephyr. He's obviously a little bit unseen, but he is the drafting coach. There's a reason that Edgar, the head coach of Gen G, chose him to be his drafting coach for the Korean national team. There he is on the right of your screen. He has been the one attributed to all of this new success in 2018. He also has Comet to his side, formerly of Jin Air, as a secondary drafting coach. Together, they are the brains trust behind Afreeca. That's a pretty cool brains trust right about now.
Well, no changes to be had here for the rosters. KT not going to be subbing in the Kind Boys, still sticking with score in the jungle as they shift over to the blue side. Trying to pick up this win, tie up this series, and force us into a game 3. Shen going to be the first ban.
Maybe KT just don't want to show the KT Rush fans a defeat for Rush. So they're just like, okay, you wait it out. You don't get to play against Afreeca, but
he's retired for the season. He's done. 100% win rate. You'll never see him again.
If you want your win rate to be high, playing against Afreeca right now is not recommended. They are in great form, and KT have to diagnose very quickly what went wrong in the draft. First ban will be the Shen, who honestly, against the bruises that KT were trying to run, was a pretty damn big trump card.
Well, Talia, now Vladimir joining the bans. Afreeca, I don't think there was too much that they really had to fear that KT brought out other than maybe the Swain. The Thresh Mord didn't find that much success. The amount of lockdown that Afreeca had was just insufferable for Def there to try to get through it.
And KT can always spin the emphasis of their comp. They don't need to go for a Mordekaiser. The Darius is also going to be pretty high priority now that Kramer has been the first to show it in the bot lane. A lot of different carries around the LCK, Sang-Yoon, a few others. In that bot lane, Darius in solo queue, and KT actually going to ban the Anivia, saying, well, we really want to play some bruisers. That's what we've been scrimming, apparently, so no Anivia for you.
Take that one away. We'll see what Kuro comes up with this time around, whether he's going to go still aggressive or if he's going to play a more supportive role.
Meal open, Nocturne open, Zoe open. Those are the big picks to talk about.
There's a lot.
Comes to first pick, correct. There's a lot of power, and they say, well, no Def defaulting onto one of his old favorites. So the two AD carries have more lane presence to say the Rage Wave carries like Kai'Sa taken off the board, and that means the first pick insta-lock on the Nocturne, because giving that to Spirit is a fast way to lose a game.
KT getting that one for themselves. We saw this in both games. I do believe they're from Rush.
I wonder if Afreeca will consider this a blocker pick for Zoe, because Nocturne versus Zoe is a very good matchup for Nocturne, given that Zoe wants to keep distance, and Nocturne, well, once he finds a target, he's going in. So maybe that will prove to be something useful, because Zoe is definitely the power level champion when it comes to the mid lane. Irelia also up, though, and Irelia could be considered by Kuro. Camille to match jungle would be giving up on one of the Irelia or the Zoe, you'd have to imagine. But for now, they're leaving open the mid lane choice, the side of KT.
Odd that they're not going for that one. It was their first ban in game 1, but the Irelia will be left on the board. The question is, how practiced is Yukal there in the mid lane? Might just be the Swain yet again.
Just the other general surprise is that the priority on Afreeca is very high for Alistar, considering Rakan is up, and that is Tucson's famous pick. So we'll have to have more information to understand what's going on. If you see Alistar Camille, there are very much worse champions to lock in than Swain, who is very happy to deal with fights in close range. Yukal had a good game, even if the pick and the comp together couldn't engineer a victory over Afreeca's draft, and this time it's going to be Tom Ketch coming through for Mata, so probably heard some of the concerns with the Thresh.
So Zoe going to be the hover right now here for Kuro.
They have a lot of engage, so the argument might be that if Nocturne isolates himself in the backline, that might not be enough, but the Irelia would be the more clean choice, because now they're very happy to fight when Nocturne engages in, and that's the right blind pick choice. They can even consider banning away the Zoe. Not like the lane against Irelia is triumphant, but it would be very strong against three melee champions to be able to poke in.
Seems like they're going to be pretty confident that the Swain is going back into the mid lane there. What would the Dr. Mundo ban? Could always be flexed into the bottom lane, as we were alluding to in game 1.
Has already played Mundo this season, and if we've learned anything the last 2 days, that Mundo for power level is certainly something you can draft. Doesn't have to always be a counter pick, so like the ban coming through from Afreeca. Waiting to see what KT wants to deal with, so they think they can pretty much lock in the 3 positions. So the marksman position and the top lane position seems to be undrafted from Afreeca. The Yasuo ban is a bot lane Yasuo ban, as Alistar Yasuo has been the prototypical bot lane Yasuo lane, and Alistar works very well with basically every bruiser. It's an enabler, it's an engaged champion, so that's where you're like, okay, Rakan was up and you didn't take it. Maybe Yasuo is what you want.
I think Afreeca gonna be happy to leave that Mordekaiser on the board. They still have plenty of lockdown here, especially now with the Alistar being thrown in the mix. We'll just ban the Jace away.
Interesting ban. Smeb has always been kind of the second best Jace in the region behind Khan, but isn't a pick that he defaults to. Largely is on the tanks like Malphite ever since the start of 2018 season, when he was given the captaincy of the KT Rolster team.
Maybe he's been running scrims, perhaps.
Oh, he's been playing it in solo queue. We all know he can play it. When it comes to competitive games, he hasn't been favoring it, and they don't want to deal with the flex Darius. KT want to have 4 picks they know which lane they're going into. It feels like right now they know 3. Darius would have been another flex pick. See what the consideration is here, because Keen has been keeping it simple so far. He's been 4 games 100%. In a row of the Aatrox. Maybe he's that solo queue player who's rank 9 who only plays Aatrox.
Well, he locked it in, so 4 games in a row, still deathless, I do believe, on this pick.
That might sound facetious to you, but it's the famous story of when Fly was on Longzhu in spring season last year. He actually one-tricked his way to top 30 as Talon, just so they could convince his coach to play Talon in professional games. So who's to say it's not a pro player behind that account? Zooming in on KT.
It's a lot of dedication to do that.
Interesting. Singed versus Aatrox. First time we're going to see this matchup in pro play, at least over in Korea. Argument is that you're pretty single target for most of the laning phase of Aatrox, where you have 5 points in your E and a Tiamat or a Titanic Hydra, so they want to push.
Okay, back to the Mordekaiser.
You saw some of the bans they were considering. When you ban Shen and Anivia, you're saying, hey, what about some bruisers? They find a very strong laning bruiser in the Mordekaiser, 3rd game of the season, but they're at 1-1 so far. Prey and Deft will be at 3 games of Mordekaiser, at least if this is the final game of the series. Afreeca Freecs looking for their last pick. Ostensibly, it's in the duo role, and it's not going to be in the duo role. Okay, very interesting. Let's try and work out what's going on here. It seems like Kramer is going to consider the Aatrox. That's my first guess. However, we're not 100% clear on that one.
I mean, I think this might be a GP bot.
That would be pretty insane. But GP is good against Mordekaiser. Funnily enough, I mentioned that in the Juggernaut patch where GP and Mordekaiser was left open, you would first pick GP because it does well against Mordekaiser in team fights. The barrels do zone away the Mordekaiser.
Got 4 seconds to swap this.
It really could be GP bot.
And it's going to be
GP bot.
All right, GP bot with Alistar going up against Tom Kench. I like the Mordekaiser a bit better. You're shaking your head. Got your eyes closed, Papa Smithy. He's feeling exhausted already.
Just so dumb. But it's smart in this particular case. It's dumb that this is the meta, but it's smart.
Thank you, Zephyr.
GP beats Mordekaiser. It's been known since 2015 Worlds.
It's just a math formula. It's very simple here.
Yeah, a math formula.
The math of League of Legends.
Well, this is very interesting. I like the idea from Zephyr. I actually think it's very cool that we get the return of this GP versus Mordekaiser match. Usually that was a team comp thing, because Mordekaiser at the time was duo and GP was solo lane. But we're going into it, Achilles.
We are. Doesn't seem like we're going to have any delays this time, and I can't wait to see how this one's going to turn out. Kramer piloting the gangplank in the bot lane. Pulling out all the stops here to try to shut down KT Rolster to get that 2-0 victory. Let's see if they can pull it off here as we load in for the next game. I got baited. I thought that was the intro.
I already saw that teaser, Achilles.
I missed that bumper then. I didn't see it. My bad.
Classic Achilles.
You know, I didn't see that, much like we haven't seen Crown.
It's true. Sadly, Crown, featured player in this intro clearly, is over to the side. The world champion not getting a look in with Fly playing so well.
OGN couldn't have known what was going to happen.
Hey, light up signs. Usually a sign in China, but cool to have some of them here in this arena. Big fan bases for both Afreeca and KT, and my prediction is that Afreeca one only going to swell up further. Saw Tucson coming out very late. I believe he switched over to Sweeper for the first start, so that's very cool to see. Level 1 Sweeper, you don't have the same opportunity cost as before when it comes down to swaps, so he'll have Sweeper in lane to be able to sweep the brush for any cheese happening with Mordekaiser and Tom, so the idea there went down, switched over, very cool.
Having that Tom Kench there should help Deft stay alive. That was the biggest problem. There's too much lockdown onto him, and everyone can just focus fire on the Mordekaiser and get punished.
Let's focus on the Sweeper. The reason you do that is that while we initially think of Tom Kench for his saving, actually against a double bruiser lane, you face check Tom Kench, you might die at level 2 to an offensive use of the Devour. So that's why the choice was made.
Well, it's going to be the pulverize there on the 2 people. Tucson helping escort Kramer into the lane where they're getting shoved back very rapidly here.
Mada's 1v2ing like he's Zyra against 2 range champions, but that's Tom Kench at level 1 when you don't have to worry about minion aggro. Spirits jungling bot side scores, jungling top side. Rift Scuttle off spawn is the meta right now. You take that before other camps. So KT should be able to know that Spirit was in the river just momentarily ago.
Kuro showing off the dashes. Getting those resets, just clearing out the wave.
And Deft had to go for very defensive itemization. Been many metas since the Cloth 5 meta was around, but Cloth 5 is because of what we were talking about. Again, if you missed the pregame, in 2015 Worlds, we had one game with the reworked Mordekaiser versus the reworked GP. I believe that was a game that was bugged and had to be remade. But it did happen, and then there was a game that was remade. It's a long time ago, Ilios. I know you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the game was remade because of a Gragas issue.
Yes, but there was Mordekaiser and GP in that game. GP was taken first, Mordekaiser taken afterwards, because in team fights, the barrels do so much burst damage that Mordekaiser can just die trying to get in and try to uses ultimate on someone or uses spells. They don't have the Anivia this game. That was banned away. They made it pretty clear they wanted to be going for bruisers. But GP harassed. The barrels against melee champions like Shen are a big thing. It's topside 2v2.
That Darkflight coming through here. That's going to be the flip. Keen going straight into the face of Score, and already that passive going to get proc. Spirit goes back in.
Misses
it. The stun on the Smeb, but he does not find it. And now they're trending it back. The Camille going low. Score flashing to the side. Gets that first blood in, but Keen will punish him straight back away. Gets the double buffs here. Another 1-for-1 exchange, just like game 1.
And not worth it all, because you're giving double buffs away to a laner. Now Keen will have double buffs in the early game. When you lose the most as Aatrox, it's not strong. Around level 7 to 9, maybe level 6 for the ultimate all-in. Not the sort of trade I'd be wanting to look for. Not a great look for Score in that particular regard. Now Smeb has to deal with a lot more harass when all he wants to do is gas the minions and proxy. Now he has a red buff to contend with.
It'll be that much more annoying. Can't kite as effectively because the red buff is going to be slowing him down as well. So rough start there for Smeb. And a lot of summoners used there. Keen still having the TP as he has not backed yet, but teleport burned by Smeb and 4 flashes down between the jungle and the top laners.
It's actually really smart from Score. It looks like he's just sapping experience, which, you know, he is. But the reason why he's doing that is one of the things we talk about with Aurelia mid is if she can freeze the wave towards her side of the mid lane, but not actually within turret range, you're kind of boned. You're 100% going to be worried about the Camille gank into instant death from the Aurelia. So actually a full reset of the minions is kind of required for Swain most of the time. So I actually like that. It's a small thing you can consider, but never allow Aurelia to freeze the wave on her side. Because if that enemy jungler has any sort of CC ability, you've got a lot of threats to deal with as a mid lane.
Not much escape either available there for Yukal. With that Swain interruption onto that Scuttle Crab, as it will just be taken over by Spirit, flexing forward and shoving Score back into the jungle.
Not the most impressive flex. It's almost like he's wearing a muscle suit and you can see it and he's trying to flex on you because he's got no mana, so clearly not going to be doing too much. Aatrox flying around, putting down deep wards, can use the blasting plant to get over, so doesn't have to worry about the Dark Flight cooldown. Aatrox mechanics. Full display, but Score is in vision. Level 6 going to be that much more predictable. If he pings level 5, they'll know it. We know that Score is actually quite a long way away from level 5.
Well, that's going to be Keen. He's going to go ham here in the top lane. Pops that ult. Chasing forward. Takes a bit of damage here.
Doesn't have the cooldown, as we can see.
The poison will be chunking him down.
As long as Smeb doesn't get out-leveled, 5 to 6 for example, he should be fine. Nimbus cloaks in. Best of luck trying to kill him when he has his ultimate available. Didn't even have to ult that time. Surprising to see Yukal still really sticking with the mid lane Swain. And we've seen a couple of things like this. We've had 2 games of Talia, both of them were mid lane.
Yep.
That champion is target nerfed in that particular role. It's a really nice team effort by Kingzone to deny enemy blue buffs, allowed BDD to push into a rise. Swain in the LPL has largely been in the marksman or bot lane position into matchups like the Vladimir. But Yukal is a great Swain player. He certainly wasn't the reason for his team's defeat in the previous game. It's the Yukal Swain priority that is the more surprising thing for KT.
Seems to be feeling good about it. You know, at least telling the coach, yeah, I can carry on this. He did his damnedest in game 1. Wasn't quite enough to get them over the line though.
Kane adjusts his build depending on who he's facing. I believe it was Jorm's Fist Rush in game number 1. This time for the Tiamat because he knows the proxy could be on at any moment and wants as much wave pushing as possible. Still the same itemization, still Titanic Hydra expected. Tucson been leashing the blue, or at least threatening to leash the blue for a while here.
I'm gonna do it. Starts this one up, they hand it off to Kuro.
Jungler's topside, GP throwing up minions under the turret. It's an Ocean Drake, but it's an Ocean Drake for Mordekaiser. And that is the further point. That's why Smeb is walking down. They got the first Drake in game number 1. It got them a lot of turret damage, but didn't actually get the turret. They get the first Drake here as well.
Yeah, that one's just going to be taken cleanly. Mountain Drake will be the follow-up. KT getting that first objective of the game.
I believe it still has global leash range, so can go for a walk.
Hover around here in the mid lane, help Yukal push. Stop any freeze coming through.
Ain't no freezing against an Ocean Drake. Oh, and I believe it slows, as the Ocean Drakes does. Not 100% clear on that actually, but I never really thought about it. But it's still going to be frustrating regardless. And it's just so tanky.
Yep.
1800 health, it means Spirit has to stay mid. It's the further thing. We saw Deft comically not moving his character, but microing the Drake forward and backwards in KT's victory against Jinair. A little bit less micro here, and it times out.
Turns out that Deft didn't need to do too much in that game.
Yeah, they were, you know, pretty well. Deft hasn't had to blow through his cloth armor, and pots too liberally. Still has 3 potions left over. Might have bought a couple of top-ups, not 100% clear, but I saw that he wasn't using them extensively early in the lane, and should be worth noting. There's been a lot of GP nerfs since Worlds 2015. Still, when the items come in, it will be difficulty for Mordekaiser in team fights, because we saw the last game where CC was not his friend. There's burst damage and CC aplenty on the side of Afreeca, so they can render Deft useless again. That would be a great start for the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Well, right now, just going to be hovering very slightly ahead. Gold figures coming through here. GP helping to bump them up, as well as Keen getting this nice little lead over the likes of Smeb, which is to be expected. Smeb just going for the most amount of stacking items that he possibly can get.
See what his first item completion is in the LCK. We've seen both games of Singe be the Andres for the max damage on the Poison Trail. You might have to go Righteous Glory after your Dank Seals here if you want to take down the Aatrox. Need some armor at some point. Wait and see what Smeb's calculation is. Speaking of calculations, pretty hard to force Keen to use Dark Flight.
He's going to laugh at him. Tosses him, score hovering nearby. It's been unseen so far. Let's see if he wants to pop the ult. Keen down to half HP. He's gonna go ahead, pop the Massacre, goes in on a Smeb. Smeb's gonna flash away. Spirit is here though. They didn't see this one coming, except Ultimatum coming down, but instantly Smeb just gets popped, and with the help of that GP Barrage, they will go ahead and find 2 kills very swiftly. That gank getting shut down immediately.
It was one step ahead again by the Afreeca Freecs. It looked interesting. Why is he finally choosing now to go in with the Dark Flight? It's because Spirit was already there. Great communication from Afreeca Freecs. The storyline for this team, I think they'll be building a lot of new fans over the course of summer 2018, is that they play the least solo queue of anyone because they scrim the most of any team, run extra scrim blocks against anyone who will play them, and their B team, the 10-man roster, that so many teams have copied Achilles in the summer season.
When you think that you're baiting.
But that's the thing, is that with Afreeca Freecs, you need to always give them that extra element of respect because they have earned it with their play over the last year.
Absolutely.
And all that practice. Less solo queue means less games to draw information on. It's frustrating for casters like you and I because you look at their solo queue accounts and there's very less games played recently. AT are able to punish somewhere. We'll punish on the bot side. But the gold lead is still there for Afreeca. I guess the real action point will be the second Drake, just like it was in game number 1.
Yeah, they'll keep it close. Mountain Drake. Don't have the timer on that one yet, but should be just over 2 minutes here, maybe 3 left to go. There it is. 2 minutes. Okay.
Maybe that will be the flashpoint in this particular game, around 14 minutes. Otherwise, if you're not top laners, things have been a little bit more mooted. Kind of concerned that Keen's going to have his Rage Blade and Titanic Hydra very early this game. Already has a lot of items. The Drum's Fist we mentioned. Confirms it's not going to be a Ravenous Hydra, which I think it's the synergy with the Rage Blade and the Titanic Hydra that makes it so attractive.
Smeb just trying to stay as close as he can as far as the CS is concerned, but you can see that lead after the last death there is really starting to stretch in favor of Keen. But the gold overall still going to be dangerously close, and KT have opened up that bottom side of the map.
Singe is so accountable. He hasn't been able to get behind the turret at all. Every time his jungler has visited his lane, it's gone poorly for both Smeb and Score. Singe definitely hasn't been the pressure valve that you select him for in solo queue, but also in professional play.
There's been very few times where I've been like, what the hell is going on in the meta? And I think it's Proxy Singed was one of those times, when that was just what everybody did.
One of the OG...
This takes the cake.
One of the OG famous LCK clips from 2012 was Marknoon proxying 2 waves in the base before even the outer turret was down. Very, very old clip. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Very, very famous one from years ago.
Barrage coming in. Clear out the wave and push KT away from that tower. Very close to getting their second one here.
And you know that Drake, getting the Drake spirit from Mordekaiser will be so important for KT, having already broken the bot lane. Yukal happily parked bot side. He hasn't gone Unsealed Spellbook this time, let's note. He has gone Exhaust straight up, but also for a bit more lane presence with the Summoner Aerie.
Wonder what Mocknoon is up to these days.
Still streams. He's been credited for one recent trend in solo queue, which is Predator top lane Pike. That is a Mocknoon special.
Okay.
You'll see it. I see it on the ladder quite a lot, and
Sounds like Mocknoon.
That is Mocknoon right there.
Ran into him in November in Busan. Saw him at an event.
Speaks good English these days, that's for sure.
It's quite good. Rift Herald up here into the top side.
Trying to force KT to react quickly. They've given up the Drake though.
Wasn't really that close.
Cost will not be this turret though.
Get some damage in. And Singed is so strong. He can flip Shelly. Impressive. Tucson now. Be caught in a bad spot. Headbutts in over to the Dragon just to create some distance. The stun connects in. Onto Yukal. It takes a bit of damage there from the GP barrel.
KT really want to cement this turret.
I mean, if you're a freak, I think you just have to give it up.
Seems like that's the way they're going to go. Camille was on the red buff, I believe, so she'd already used her hook shot. Wasn't going to be joining. It's a lot of map control to KT. They could not find this sort of a lead in game number 1. By lead, I mean in terms of map pressure. Taking down 2 turrets, rotating around the Mordecai. It's not quite a Thresh unleashed on the map. It is Tom Kench. But still, cute things can happen. Better start to game number 2 than game number 1 for KT, even though top lane has definitely gone the way of Afreeca.
Well, 2-1 on the towers. Just behind by 500 gold KT. Trying to keep this one very competitive, trying to force us into that game 3. I hope we see it.
Yeah.
Because this matchup is so very strong. 2 of our strongest teams that we have here in the league so far from what info we have gathered.
And what we've had to observe. Gen G deserve a lot of respect. After their first game loss, they've looked very, very good as well. And they approach games a little bit differently to Afreeca, which is kind of the counterpoint to them. Afreeca are much more about where the team comp advantages are and how to play to it. And Gen G are playing counterpick bot lane and pretty much RNG from MSI style, which is a fun contrast to styles from top teams, showing there's not just one way to play what is largely an unsettled meta. Yukal topside now, as Singed has finally gotten another lane assignment. Rylai Singed can actually kite the Aurelia pretty damn decently. That's the current lane assignment that KT is rolling with.
In all this madness, I want to see an all-Triforce team. Haven't quite gotten there yet. Go ahead and take a look at that.
Damage dealt this game, not in one particular fight.
Yeah, 15 minutes. It's going to be Deft coming out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it is Siphon of Destruction against 2 melee champions, so that's why things have gone well there. Kramer still stacking up,
Oh, you see that barrel on the side. Do they know that the rest of the Afreeca Freecs are nearby?
Yes.
They had an idea.
They got the spoilers, and they did have an idea, like you mentioned.
And they got the flash out of Deft, so.
This whole time, Swain has been slowly auto-attacking down the top lane turrets. So the outer ring, which is what you want in a Mordekaiser comp. First 2 Drakes, which is what you want in a Mordekaiser comp. So far, so good, even if the highlight moments or the fighting moments have gone the way of the Afreeca Freecs.
Clearing those ones out, Afreeca. Unable to really get any damage onto that bot tower. That one especially is going to be very healthy. Really did a slight little bit to the tier 2 in the top side, but getting into position to actually take that is going to take some time here.
And even working out when Afreeca want to start a fight, because I think Kramer is still working towards what looks to be a Sterix gauge. We're still on patch 8.11, so the Sterix changes aren't live on this particular patch. Kramer definitely is in full scaling mode. Aurelia just Trinity Force is very powerful. Rageblade and Sterix might be the time. The Rageblade in particular from Keen, as Aatrox goes from a pretty decent champion to a pretty bonkers champion the time that changes. Again, the mechanic there is that the moment that you can attack a few times, get that phantom hit going, double of the damage amplification of W or double healing makes him just a complete terror to deal with if he's actually got the Ginz's Rageblade passive active during a team fight.
Take a look at depth here. Sonya's Hourglass has been completed.
Defensive choice compared to the Rylai's rush in game number 1.
Yeah, so very good adaptation, good shift there so he can stay alive. So now he has the Zonias as well as the Tom Catch Devour to keep him up and in the fight. They're looking for the Leandries next.
A lot of engage, but a lot of scaling means that Afreeca haven't really used that engage to any end. They seem happy for the game to go longer, and I think if you look for disparity, it's definitely Aatrox versus Singed in terms of late game team fights, and Gangplank versus Mordekaiser. Lets you know the scaling advantage on the side of Afreeca. Yukal will be a beast, but apart from that, I think scaling is heavily with Afreeca. But in a meta that's been described by people, including myself, as a snowball one, how much can you afford to surrender? When do you have to fight? Will the third Drake of the game represent that for the side of Afreeca?
Kramer not really landing the poke, can't force KT back. Instead, just go ahead, go their separate ways, start spreading out around the map. Deft and Mata gonna have to hover here in the mid side of things just to protect that turret. Make sure that Afreeca can't pick up their second.
All right.
It's gonna be the ult coming in here from the Nocturne. Jump away immediately from Spirit, keeps himself safe. In the meantime, Keen in the mid lane. Got Dark Flight. Further up towards the base. Now Smeb zipping his way in, gets the flip in onto Kramer. Tucson used to pulverize, that's with the ultimatum down, and the Aurelia ult comes out, diving into the back, trying to get the hits, but Kuro is just gonna isolate himself, and Deft will find the killing blow. Keen going low, goes golden for the moment. Tucson, one more shot over the wall, Yukal finds it. And Afreeca Freecs are suffering in this fight. 4 members dead. Spirit, the original target, the only one to make it out alive.
Yukal in the middle of all of it, running that ultimate, goes golden. It's a golden team fight for KT. They need the snowball. A snowball Baron would be a great pickup.
Looking for it, and that might just be enough tools to go ahead and close this game out. The gold's gonna start surging forward. Spirit hovering nearby. He's already gotten 2 steals, I believe, so far in this series. Mata looking to gate him out. The Devour comes through. Smeb's going to be there to pick up the pieces. There's nothing he can do. Maybe it's just the solo kill. The tongue lash misses. Mata comes in.
If he steals this.
Yep, doesn't get the chance. Score goes ahead, snipes him out. That will be Baron going over to KT. My heart was stopping for a moment, but they get it in the end.
There was no smite on score, so in a different universe, that would have been the most comical steal ever. Watch the replay, and this is mostly Smeb coming from the sideline, surprising the side of Afreeca, and then they're all grouped up. Yukal walks in, he's been kited and kited for so many team fights. First, AoEing down Spirit and Keen, then he walks over and finds some more people to deal with. Deft gets his kill to start off rather than being killed to start off a team fight. That means that things are going well for the side of KT. Very nicely done.
Sure, he much prefers that. But yeah, instant exhaust as well thrown down onto Kuro. So diving into the back line, there just wasn't much that he can do. Take a look at the damage figures, and Smeb with Singed nearly beating out Yukal.
Everyone was being hit by Poison Trail and Yukal's ultimate. That's just incidental damage everywhere that was cleaned up by the multiple members of the team. All the neutrals going the way of KT is music to the ears of any Mordekaiser mains over in the chat.
Atlas.
It's true, he is a Mordekaiser. It's not something that many people hold as a badge of pride. He does.
This is his meta. He loves Aatrox, he loves Mordekaiser. He just loves the things that tilt everybody else.
Don't understand, he's a hipster, and now being a hipster is like,
that's true.
He's a cake fan now.
Okay, I see.
Well, Afreeca have been well held. KT were able, outside of all the action, to push in 2 lanes. The Gangplank, one of the chief reasons that they were unable to have a lot of resistance in bot side. All this pushing continues, and KT, if they can close soon, will be big as Yukal.
Yeah, looking for the lockdown there. That's going to be ultimatum out, but the Nocturne goes forward, and they just shred down Spirit instantly. Kramer trying to exit Kuro going golden, but he is in no man's land with no way out. A double kill going over to score here with his Nocturne. Kramer trying to kite his way back, pops the barrel just to get the move speed to make it back over to the fountain, but he's still limping his way there.
And KT can look for the end on this push out.
Tucson in the meantime, he is still just burning down, and there it is. Children of the Grave comes up with a delay. As
that should be it.
Picks up another one. 2 inhibitors falling. The Nexus looking to follow suit. KT do it in about 23 minutes. Very swift, very snowball game here from the side of KT. Keen desperately trying to go in. He's got the blood well, but it's just not going to be enough. Kramer with the GP tried to do the maths on it. This GP beats Mordekaiser, but not in this game. KT, 10-3 in the end, are taking us to game number 3.
And I'm so excited to see the way it goes. It looked like this was going to be another Afreeca win when top side was going horribly for Singed & Co. But bot lane and mid lane won. The Drakes did go the way. The second Drake was surrendered to Kilios, despite the advantages we were seeing in top side. And before the items could ever come through from Afreeca, before it seemed clear that once again Afreeca would win the team fight, the game snowballs too fast, and maybe Afreeca will have to drop more lane power, because this time they were overpowered by the side of KT.
They were, couldn't really find their footing. It was looking good after the 1-for-1 exchange in the top lane. They get the punish as well. They come back up, they kill Score for a second time, but Score just ended up having too much damage here. Spirit too squishy. They take him out of the fight immediately, and Kuro just didn't get put in a position where he could excel in the Aurelia, dive into the back line, and actually assassinate Deft.
And if we're going to target praise to Afreeca's drafting team, the GP bot seemed to bridge too far. Wasn't able to do enough harass early. The turret was lost, and I'm sure there was a point, a timer of 40 to 50 minutes where it could have overtaken. We just never got there. This meta, the games can close fast.
That they can. 23 minutes there on the clock for KT Rolster to close that one out, now forcing us into a game number 3. Exactly what we wanted to see from this matchup. Effectively, in our minds at least, the battle for first place here in the LCK. Griffin and Genji resting above these guys at the moment, but given the form that we've seen, the back and forth, looks like these guys might very well be in the grand final, as you earlier claimed. Go ahead, take a look at the damage. And yeah, Deft tops it.
So much incidental chips, so much harass in lane. Started well, ended well, and crucially the game ended at 23 minutes. Look at those neutrals. 3 Drakes, 1 Barons, and Bagel to the side of Afreeca Freecs. They never got a look in.
Yeah, barely anything there. KT got to be feeling good, but now they shift back over onto the red side. We'll see where Afreeca's priority is going to lie with the draft next time out. Do they still go for the Camille? We'll find out. We're going to go to a break. We'll be back in just a few with game number 3, KT versus the Afreeca Freecs.